Hey, hi all, welcome back to the channel again. Today we are going to discuss about sharing data between Angular components. That is nothing but component communication, we can say, or component interaction. Uh, you know um, there might be some needs when we want some data to be shared in between components, right? So based on a value of a particular component, we need to perform certain things into other components as well. So that kind of behavior we can achieve using the concept of Angular, sharing data between Angular components. That's nothing but there are some options Angular provides us to share data between parent to child, or to emit or to distribute data um, to multiple components at once as well. To achieve that, we have multiple ways. The first thing is at the rate input decorator we have, then we have at the rate output decorator. Then we have local variables we can use. Then we can use view child decorator as well, at the rate view child. Then we can use services. Sharing data using services is a bit different actually. It's a different way to distribute data. It's nothing like a parent-child kind of relationship when we use services to share data between components. you know it's called as a distributing data to the components, multiple components at the same time. Okay, and it depends on components whether to use it or not to use. It's just like that while using services. We will look into that later in coming videos, in our upcoming videos. But for now, if you consider parent-child relationship, then we may need to use at the rate input and output decorators in order to share data between parent and its immediate child, right? So let's see how we can do that. So we have a parent component over here rendered, and we have a child component rendered inside this parent component. And we have given some styling to it, like a flex box to show this child component beside this parent component, and it's actually the part of parent component itself. Then we have a label over here to show the data coming from child to parent. And then we have a counter variable over here, in the form of label, to show data coming from parent to child, right? So how interaction happens? So interaction happens nothing but based on the user interaction. So here our interaction is nothing but clicking the button, right? So the click event, we are actually firing to either increase or decrease the counter value of the child component. Okay, and then we are again performing one interaction, user interaction, like we are clicking this button to pass this counter value to the parent, right? So whenever user perform any action, then only we can identify and we can send data between, or we can share data between components only, right? Based on any action only, it actually depends on a user action only, in short, right? So let's define some actions in the sense some events on these buttons. So let's define some events for the parent buttons. We have an increase counter. So let me give click event handler for this increase counter, and then we have a decrease counter. Let's say a click event handler decrease counter like this. And again we are getting this error because we need to add this method inside ts file. So let's add these methods. Then we have another method decrease counter. Let's add that method as well. And as we have added these two methods, increase and decrease, so we need to increase or decrease something, right? So what is that something? Something is nothing but a variable which is counter from parent. Okay, its type would be number only, and the value, initial value, is 0, and we need to increase it by 1 plus equals to 1. And in Angular we use, or in a class we use this keyword to access its properties and methods. Then we have, decrease. So here as well we need to decrease it by 1, then minus equals to 1. But here it is there is a catch actually. There is no validation when the value is 0. If we click on decrease counter button, it decreases value by 1, then the value will become -1. So in order to prevent that, we need to add some condition over here. So let's say value is greater than 0, then only decrease it, else just reassign the value 0 to the counter variable, right? So that it value should not become minus. So this is how we can add the code to manipulate a certain variable, and we need to bind this variable to the property of a child, right? So what is the property of child? The property of child is nothing but a variable we need to add, and the decorator for that variable we need to give input, because we are expecting some value from parent, and that value should be binded to this variable, this input decorated variable only. Okay, so let's say counter of type number, and the value, initial value is 0, right? Now we can show this counter variable on the HTML page over here using interpolation syntax, right? Then let's say how it goes now. Let's rerun the application again. If I click on increase counter, nothing is happening. Decrease counter, nothing is happening, right? Because we are actually increasing value of a property within a parent component itself. So we are not attaching that property to the child component's property. So how to attach that? So we do have a product list component rendered over here. So what we can do to to map any property of child to parent, we need to use square brackets to access the property of a child. So we have a counter as a property of a child, and to give value we have a property counter from parent into parent. So the counter from parent variable's value we are assigning to counter variable on the fly, that is nothing but dynamically. So let's say how it goes now. So you can see the counter is increased now, right? And the counter is getting decreased now. So it will not decrease beyond 0, as we have added a condition over there. So this is how we can send data from parent to child using @input decorator. So we are inputting some value to this, the variable which has decorated as an input into the child component, right? So this counter variable is decorated as a @input into the child, and we are inputting some value from parent to that counter variable. That's it, right? And this counter from parent variable value, we are actually managing it from these two events, increase counter and decrease counter. Okay, so this is how its value is getting increased or decreased dynamically and getting assigned to this property, input property, dynamically. So that's the reason this property also gets updated and visible on the UI. So now this is all about input property, how we can send data from parent to child. But now let's look at how we can send data from child to parent. So for that, we again need to go to the child component. Here we can use @output, right? And using @output, we need to declare a variable like counter event, something like that, and its type is nothing but event emitter type. And you need to import that event emitter from Angular core itself, not from Angular events or maybe events, right? So event emitter you need to call, and to this you need to pass number and then initialize it. It could be asynchronous. If you want asynchronous, then you can pass the flag. The by default value is false. So this is how we have declared a variable, output variable, and how we can pass this value, right? how we can pass this counter value to parent. So for that we need a certain action, user action. So what could be the user action? So user action is nothing but he needs to click on this button, right? So over here we again need to add a click event and pass counter to parent. Let's say the method name is, let's add this method into this, and here we need to emit the value of current counter. So how we can emit it? We can make use of this event emitter variable, and we can call emit method to emit the value. So what could be the value? This dot counter is the value, right? So this dot counter is nothing but we need to emit dynamically. So if you look at over here inside, if I go inside event emitter, to go inside you need to either right click and go to definition, you can do that, or control plus click, you can do that as well. So as you can see, this is the type of generic actually, and which extends these two interfaces, right? Sorry, these two classes. And if you go to this class, this has some, uh, what we can say, some methods which are right now of no use for us. We will look into these methods later on. Observable, then subject, what could be the subject, so what could be the observable in Angular, we will learn all those. But for now, just look at the signature of it. It's nothing but generics, as we have learned generics into our TypeScript playlist. It's nothing but generics only, none, not other than that anything. So you need to pass the type of value you need to emit to this type assertion syntax. So we have learned type assertions as well in the TypeScript playlist. If you do not know about generics and type assertion, you can go and watch those videos. I would recommend you to understand that first, then only you will understand what whatever I'm doing over here. So now I have passed the number as a type to this event emitter interface, and then I have created a variable of type that, and then I am emitting the counter, which is nothing but a number type, right? This is number and here is also number, and the number type variable only we are emitting. So this is how everything matches and it doesn't give us any error. So now as we are emitting this value, so how to catch that value, right? So to catch this value, we need to again go to the app.html file, right? And from app.html file, again we need to catch that using, as it is an event, so we need to catch it using parenthesis. So as you can see, I have typed the parenthesis and it gave me the intelligence that this particular child component has this counter event to be emitted and to be catched, right? It is getting emitted from child and you need to catch it. So we can give the counter event inside parenthesis and where to catch it, right? So we need method to catch it, a callback method. So let's say get value from child, and to this we need to pass $event. So $event is a global object, we can say, in Angular. It contains whatever event data has, whatever event has the data, right? So now we need to add this method into the parent. So let's say I have added this method over here, and which actually takes some argument of type maybe any. If we are not sure of what type of data, we can directly give any. But now we need to have some variable to show that value coming from child, right? So counter value from child of type number is equal to 0, let's say, starting value of it. This dot counter value from child we can update over here inside this method, right? So this method is nothing but a callback method for the counter event which is getting emitted from the child component. And what it is emitting? It is emitting the counter, the current counter, and that current counter we are again catching inside this callback function into this parameter $event, and we are updating the variable over here, and the same variable we can show over here using string interpolation syntax. So let's save it. let's rebuild it to make sure all changes are there, right? So now all changes should be there. So it refreshed now. So I'm increasing value till 5, I'm decreasing value till 0. Let's say I have increased it till 10 and I need to pass it to the parent. If I click over on this button, the 10 value is getting passed over here, you can see. Again I'll increase that and again pass that. You can see 15 has been there. Let me decrease it, again pass it, it changed to 10 now. Let me decrease this to 5, again pass it, it changed to 5 again, right? So this is how we have achieved parent to child and child to parent, communication. So this is how it works. So if I segregate or just differentiate the code, whatever is needed for child to parent and parent to child. So let's say this needs parent to child, you need this code to write, and then this is nothing but child to parent, right? And this is nothing but a parent component. Let's say what needs to be write inside child component. Inside child component, this is the only property you need to catch some value coming from parent, right? And this event emitter you need to add to emit the certain values from child to parent. So let's say this is nothing but child to parent, right? So this is how it is. These two concepts are, we will learn how we can achieve the same thing using view child or using the template variables in coming videos. But for now, this is it, the input and output decorators. I hope you have understood this video. If you like it, so understood it, hit like on the video, share it with your friends so that they could understand this concept in very easily with simple example. And do not forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon and select the all option from that bell icon menu, action menu, right? So that you never miss any upcoming videos or upcoming notifications from this channel. Thanks all guys, let's meet in next video.